There are many places connected with Pushkin.
In most cases, there are houses where the poet lived, but visiting friends, the public building he visited. Churches play important events in his life. Baptism, wedding, the streets he walked.
There are around 150 such places in Moscow, and with Moscow region about 150. Some of them have kept their original architectural appearance to this day. Some not.
But with them is stated the memory of the poet. That's why they are so valuable to us.
Moscow. How many strains are fusing in that one sound for Russian hearts? What store of riches it imparts? The birthplace of the great poet, the city he loved, deserved such enthusiastic words about itself.
As we know, Alexander Sergeyevich was born in the German settlement on German Street, now Baumanskaya. The boy was born in a small wooden house where Alexander's parents rented an apartment. For a long time it was believed that the house number 40 on Baumanskaya Street, where is now the school 353 is located, formerly stood the house in which was born the future poet.
Therefore, on the building facade there is a memorial board with the inscription: "Here was the house where on the 6th of June 1799 Alexander Pushkin was born." In front of the building there is a bronze bust of a very young poet by the sculptor Belashova. In this same area, near the school building, is the Church of the Epiphany, known from the 17th century. Pushkin's parents were the parishioners. Here, on the 8th of June 1799, there was baptized newborn Alexander.
And if the house where Pushkin was born didn't survive, the other house associated with years of Pushkin's childhood still stands today. It is a magnificent monument of the 17th century, the Palace of Volkov-Yusupov in the Bolshoi Kharitonevsky Lane 21. Here from 1801 to 1803 in a wooden wing of that house little Sasha lived with his parents. Around this palace was a large beautiful garden. With this garden associated memories of Pushkin. He often walked here with his nanny, Arina Rodionovna. Also, there is a legend that in this garden the guests were entertained by a talking mechanical cat walking on the chain, and from the pool the figures of the warriors were raised. These children's memories are reflected in his poem Ruslana and Lyudmila. Its lines are familiar to us from childhood.
On seashore far a green oak towers, and to it with a gold chain bound. A learned cat whiles away the hours, but walking slowly round and round. To right he walks and sings a ditty, to left he walks and tells a tale.
Over the sandy beaches creep, and from the clear and shining water step 30 goodly knights escorted by their old guardian of the deep, an ancient dweller.
And exactly where he lived in the years of his childhood, the poet settled his favorite heroine Tatyana Lavina from the novel in verses Evgeny Onegin. Arriving to Moscow to her aunt, she stayed in the house in Kharitonevsky Lane.
Near Yusupov Palace on Pokrovka Street is another interesting building, house number 22. which received for the bright appearance the name house dresser because of its bizarre shape, resembling this vintage piece of furniture. The owners of the house, Trubetsky, were distant relatives of the Pushkins, and the boy, together with his older sister Olga, were brought for dance classes to this house.
At the age of 11, Pushkin left Moscow and returned here only in 1826 after Mikhailovskaya deportation. The poet is visiting his uncle Vasily Pushkin on Staraya Basmanная 36. Later, the nephew often visited his uncle's house. Today, in this house was opened the museum.
Also, on Novaya Basmanная Street, there is a luxury mansion of Nikolai Dmitrich Taheev, gold mines owner and patron of art. In the 19th century, on this place, there stood the house where more than 20 years lived participant of the War of 1812, philosopher and public figure Pyotr Yakovlevich Chagall. Here he was visited by his friends Gogol, Gerzen, Turgenev, including Alexander Pushkin.
Another memorable place in the poet's life was the Church of the Ascension, near Nikitsky Gate, where Pushkin and Natalia Goncharova wedding took place. The church is well preserved to our days.
From the church, Pushkin brought his young wife to the house on the Arbat. This 5-room apartment on the second floor of the mansion that belonged to the provincial secretary Hitrov, Alexander rented before the wedding. Here the wedding dinner took place. In a rented apartment until his departure to St. Petersburg, young couple lived from February to May. Now the Pushkin's museum is situated in this apartment.
Far from Pushkin times, many streets and squares of Moscow has changed beyond recognition. The more important for us in the modern city such islands of Pushkin's Moscow, buildings, old mansions, boulevards that seem to remember the poet.
Our excursion was useful and interesting for you. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you.